Okay, so it all starts with a declaration of war. You've got this powerful king, Ajatasattu of Magadha, and he's got his eyes on his neighbors, the prosperous Vajji Republic, and he is absolutely convinced he's gonna win. But just before he sends in the armies, he wants one last little bit of assurance.
This story is all about a king who was looking for the secret to winning a war, but what he got instead was a blueprint for something way bigger: how to build a community that could literally never be conquered.
And it all kicks off with a simple but really high-stakes question, one that's going to set in motion the final, powerful teachings of one of the most influential figures in all of history.
So this king Ajatasattu, he's ambitious, to say the least. He looks over at the Vajjis, who are this confederation of clans, famous for being rich and strong, and he just sees his next big prize. His plan? Total annihilation.
But here's the thing, even a ruthless king knows there's some wisdom you just don't mess with. So he sends his #1 minister, a guy named Vasakkara, on a super important mission. He says, go find the Buddha and ask him straight up, am I gonna win? And the king adds this crucial little note saying, the enlightened ones, they don't speak falsehoods. He even uses the title Tathagata, which shows he believes the Buddha's word isn't just an opinion, it's the absolute truth.
So Vasakkara gets there, he poses the king's question, but the Buddha doesn't give a simple yes or no. He doesn't predict the outcome of the war at all. Instead, he turns to his attendant, Ananda, and starts asking a bunch of questions that reveal where the Vajji's real power comes from.
And this right here, this is the core of his answer. The Buddha lays out a whole set of conditions, basically a formula for being unbreakable. He says, look, as long as the Vajjis stick to these principles, vudhyefa no parihani, you can basically guarantee they're going to grow, not fall apart. And what's so fascinating is that it has nothing to do with armies or weapons. It's all about their social strategy.
So what are these 7 conditions? Well, they meet up all the time, and they do it in unity. They respect their traditions, their elders, and their sacred duties. They protect the vulnerable in their society, and they welcome wise people. I mean, notice what's not on this list. There's nothing here about building walls or training soldiers. The Buddha is basically telling the king's minister, hey, their strength isn't in their swords. It's in how they treat each other. It's in their social glue.
Now, Vasakkara, he's no fool. He's a sharp political mind, and a light bulb just goes on over his head. He gets it immediately. He says to the Buddha, forget conquering them if they're following all 7 of these. You couldn't conquer them if they were only following 1. He realizes the only way for his king to win is not to attack from the outside, but to get them to fight each other from the inside, through lies, rumors, and sowing division.
So the minister leaves, but this story is so far from over. Because the Buddha realizes this blueprint, it's not just for a kingdom. It's for any community that wants to last, including his own.
Literally, the moment Vasakkara is out the door, the Buddha calls all the monks together. The exact same strategic advice he just gave a king to protect a nation, he's now about to give to his own spiritual community, the Sangha. I mean, what a brilliant way to show how universal these principles really are.
And he just tweaks the list a little bit for his monks. So instead of upholding political traditions, they have to uphold the teachings, the Dhamma. Instead of protecting women of the clans, they have to guard themselves against craving. But the core ideas, they're exactly the same. Unity, respect, a shared purpose, and mindfulness. He is literally building an organization designed to outlive him.
And this whole question of outliving the founder, well, it's about to get very, very real. Because the Buddha himself is now staring down his own mortality.
At 80 years old, the Buddha gets incredibly sick. The text described the pain as deadly, bringing him right to the brink of death. But through just sheer meditative power and force of will, he pushes the illness back. He decides he can't pass away just yet, not without giving his community their final instructions.
When Ananda sees that the Buddha has recovered, he just breaks down. He confesses how terrified he was. He says his own body felt weak, like the world went dark, and his mind just couldn't function, all from the fear of losing his teacher. He's basically voicing the anxiety of the entire community. What are we going to do without you?
The Buddha's response here is just profound. He asks, what more does the Sangha expect from me? He explains that he's taught the Dhamma completely. He's held nothing back. There's no secret knowledge, no closed fist of a teacher who keeps the really good stuff for himself. He's saying, I've already given you everything you need to do this without me.
And then Then he delivers one of his most powerful and famous instructions, Etadipa Vihartha Atasarana. He tells them not to look for refuge in a person, not even him. He tells them to be their own island, their own light. Their real, true refuge is the teaching itself, the Dhamma. This is it. This is the final piece of the blueprint, a community so empowered that it becomes leader-proof.
So the foundation has been laid for his community to last forever. But now, in a moment of just stunning dramatic irony, the final countdown to his own death begins, all because of a single, tragic, missed opportunity.
They're sitting at a place called the Kapala Shrine, and the Buddha mentions how beautiful the world is, and then he just casually drops this unbelievable hint. He says that anyone who has mastered these 4 bases of spiritual power, like he has, could choose to live for an entire cosmic eon, if only someone were to ask them to. He is literally handing Ananda the key on a silver platter. But Ananda, he doesn't get it. The text says his mind was possessed by Mara, the personification of delusion, and he just doesn't put 2 and 2 together. He doesn't ask the Buddha to stay for the good of the world. He misses the single greatest opportunity ever. The Buddha even repeats the hint, not once, but 3 times, and still, Ananda says nothing.
The Buddha tells Ananda to go take care of some things. And once he's alone, the moment of decision arrives. The invitation was offered, but it wasn't accepted.
Mara, the tempter, shows up and basically says, "Your work is done. It's time to pass on." And the Buddha agrees. The conditions have all been met. And then he just calmly states it. His final passing is near. The clock has started. 3 months to go. And right there, at that very shrine, the Buddha performs one last conscious act. With full awareness, he lets go of his life formation, that fundamental will to keep on existing in this world. The very second he makes this decision, the world itself reacts. A massive earthquake shakes the land, a Mahāparinibbānasutta. The text describes it as terrifying and hair-raising. It's a cosmic signal that something of unimaginable importance has just been set in motion. The world is about to change forever.
So, what's the Buddha's answer to that ultimate question? It seems to be this. You don't depend on one person, not even a perfect one. You build a strong community on shared values, and then you empower every single person in it to be their own refuge, their own island. So the real question for us isn't just what we're building to last. It's, are we building it to last without us?